Yeah. Hello, hello, wonderful viewers. How are you all doing today? Nice, awesome, and wonderful to be here once again today. Yeah, on part three of today's program, the happenings going on in Cote d'Ivoire. So, without taking much of our time, we want to dive straight into this, and run a quick analysis into it. We are hoping that we wouldn't stay beyond the 1 hour mark, thereabout. Okay. So, the topic of today's broadcast still remains the same. What is it? Military hostilities in Ivory Coast. Coup rumored. All right. So, we are diving deep into it. On your screen, you can see there are two images. One in the center is Traore, and beside him is Kigami. That is an AI job. Both of them never worked like this, but it's just for finality or perhaps analysis. It's just for analysis. So it carries the message of what we are trying to do or what we are saying about the need for freedom, about the need for human rights in its maximum execution, about the need that we must be treated as humans. You can see the one on your right side of the screen. That is a woman being flogged by the heartless Nigerian police. You can see the way they are flogging the woman. That is the abuse system that we are preaching against. That is an abuse of a female in Nigeria. And the men in the middle, more especially Traore, this is what he hates, that made him take over the government in his country, and he's doing the right thing. Now the world called him a dictator. They honor Tinubu, the criminal. But this is what is going on in Nigeria. You can see the woman is not armed. They are whipping her like an animal. A Nigerian woman being flogged by the Nigerian uniformed people. This is just an introduction of what Nigerians goes through on a daily basis. In most cases, look at people are even watching. No one could go there because once you go there, they open fire on you and kill you. And that will be that. You see, this is Nigeria for you. Share this broadcast and make it go viral. More especially this side. That is why we needed to start this side, today's program, with this incisive and provocative video. So that you people will know where we are coming from. It's not when we come out to speak. People say, Ishenti do. He talks rough. He doesn't show regard. He abuses us. For that reason, we are not going to listen to him. It is our life. That is the usual Nigerian thing. Because Nigerians, we don't mix with their animals. Point blank. They are pure animals. Statistically, they are animals. An incident came up in United States. A rogue unit, a fake media, branded Nigerians as surplus to requirement in the U.S. economy, knowing fully well the amount of medical doctors Nigeria supplies to the United States, even nurses, even caregivers, care workers. And they rated Nigeria like that. The news came up, the Nigerians dismissed it. Oh, it's just a rumor. Nothing like that can happen. This is America. Now, they are deporting Nigeria in masses. En mass, Nigerians are being deported, being hunted down like animals, being deported. But when the news came up, the Nigerians in America dismissed it. But today they are on the run. Their image has been tarnished. This is what we are saying. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, look into it. If you're a media personality, all Nigerian content makers, can they do this nonsense? They can't. Because what they see us do, they see it as nonsense. Someone will say, no, if you come out to talk, you just have to cool down, talk to people, address people. It is people that will listen to you. I don't need Nigerians to listen to me. You can watch, but don't listen, because I know that you are an idiot. For being a Nigerian, you can do nothing about the situation. What comes to worst, they go to church and pray. And as usual, the one that speaks the truth is the one they will look for to do harm, as they did to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Ever since they arrested Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, ever since they betrayed him, did Nigeria get any better? I'm asking you, did Nigeria get any better? Is this not a woman? This happened this week. This very week. Look at how 2 men are flogging a woman in Nigeria. America will not see this. America will never ever see it. But America can see Ibrahim Traore, the man on your screen. They can see him and call him a terrorist. Can this happen in Burkina Faso? This is a big question. Where is Very Dark Man? He should come and answer this. Useless boy. Useless boy that supported Tinubu against the protest that Nigerian youths made. Very Dark Man called on Tinubu and Nigerian army to do the Nigerian youths this thing they are doing to this woman. They should go and crush the protest because they are waving Russian flag in northern Nigeria. Very Dark Man called on the president and the Nigerian army. But today, Very Dark Man is clamoring to go to Burkina Faso and rejoice or celebrate Traore. But he forgot that Burkina Faso raised the Russian flag before they got their freedom. Very Dark Man forgot. And when we talk, animals called Nigerian youths, Nigerian media people, Nigerian content makers, very useless people, they rise up to do a counter program and say it is a lie, that Nigeria is good. Amongst them is an idiot known as Parara. Parara supports Nigerian system until, was it this year or last year? He ran out now. He's living in Turkey. He said Nigeria is not a place to be in. The same man that is supporting the Nigerian system. The same man that called Nnamdi Kanu a criminal. The same man that called Hubert Wigwe, the late CEO of Intercontinental Bank, he called him a criminal because they paid him little money to insult or disgrace a man. That is Nigeria for you. You see here, we don't mix words. Look at how they are beating this woman mercilessly. It will only take a demon to see this very video and still have the guts to say Ancient Idu is wrong. We won't listen to him. We don't care because you are Nigerian and you don't deserve to be pitied. That is why Nigerian technocrats, some of the backbone of the American system, could be deported for no good reason. They just capture them, they throw them in the plane, straight to Nigeria. And when we talk, some Nigerians stood up. It's a lie. That is fake news. But people are being deported for no good reason. That is Nigeria. They deserve this type of beating. That is why we had to put up this very one on your screen. We had to start the program like this. It will only take a devil to say what we are doing here is false. Let me see if I can get the volume of this particular one. You see, the one, whoever that's recording it, recorded it from afar with his phone. That is Nigeria. Look at how they are just flogging the woman like an animal. A woman, a female in Nigeria. Where is the group known as Female in Nigeria, FIN? Where are they? Where are they? Mad people everywhere. Let me take it off so that we can go into what brought us here today. Yeah, we are done with that particular video, which is a very, very painful one, a sad one, and a sad one indeed. It went down in Nigeria. It can only happen in Nigeria. Yeah. Okay. So we are jumping into today's program, which has to do with the rumored coup in Cote d'Ivoire. They call it a rumor, an alleged incident. But we have on our screen here, and we are going to put it up so that you can see it. That is the United States. Let me get the. Okay, I'll get it up. That is the United States Senate. How they are crying out that they have lost Africa. Watch it.
Understand why we are taking a bunch of tools in our foreign policy toolbox and tossing them into a dumpster.
And I think we need to start giving African countries more of what they want and less of what they don't. That seems like an obvious proposition, but frequently our Africa strategy doesn't seem to be guided by that principle.
Picking a fight with South Africa, a pretty important nation, and labeling them as committing genocide against.
It is incredibly self-defeating, is my view. I just don't understand why we are taking a bunch of tools in our foreign policy toolbox and tossing them into a dumpster.
And I think we need to start giving African countries more of what they want and less of what they don't. That seems like an obvious proposition, but frequently our Africa.
Now, the so-called United States of America, they are now considering, they are trying to reconsider their stand. You know, General Langley gave China and Russia a stern warning. We are ordering you to stay out of Africa. Africa is the business of United States. We are not humans. We are business of the United States. We are their interest. Huh? You come to Africa, you rob, you do all manner of nonsense. All manner of nonsense in Africa. Yet when we want to get into the US, you banish us. You treat us not even as third-class citizens. In most cases, you treat us as a cargo. Cargo. A tool that you can dispose at will. Now they are saying, oh, they think they should start thinking of how to give African countries what they want, not what they, the Americans, think we want. It's too late. We know you have the nuclear bombs, you have everything. Donald Trump doesn't mix word. He said we're gonna go there and drop the bombs on them. We know you have all those things. But I want to remind you, in the 900 years of the European War, in which we had two world wars, World War I and World War II. That 900 years, there was a castle that fell. But the defenders of that castle were not defeated. But the castle fell. How and why? They decided to take their own lives instead of surrendering to the enemy. And that was a honorable thing to do. I don't know where Ibrahim Traore got that idea or that mantra from. He said when it comes to defending the motherland, it is a matter of life and death we shall overcome. That is the basic truth. The defenders of the castle that fell was not defeated, but the castle fell. Why? They took their life. That is how Africa will be. You can drop all your bombs that you want, but you see, the land will never ever accept you. The land never accepted the colonial master. That was why they were forced to leave Africa. Apart from South Africa, where they found pleasure, because they were so easy to deceive. And they love to sing and dance. That was why Julius Nyerere told Mandela at that time, stop singing and dancing for these people. Go back to your root as an African. Raise anything that you want to raise. And the whites will voluntarily run away from Africa. That they all did it. This time around, we are not going to sing or willfully surrender to you. You know what? The saboteurs that are within us will all be removed completely. So we will see how the West, NATO, will come into Africa again and say we are coming to make colonies in Africa. It's not going to be possible. Never, ever again. Look at the Senate now. They are trying to discuss like humans. is they think it's time to give African countries what they want, but they forgot why they sit in this room as demons. You know, the best devil that you can ever see is the one on suit. Why they sat in that room with their suits on? They have already made a covert surgical operation by removing Nigerians from the back door. No social media coverage, no media, no journalists, nothing. It's a silent one by ICE under Donald Trump. Clean up the system quickly. Let nobody know what's going on. And they are doing it. But they are seated there. It's time we give African countries a chance. Listen to what they want. It's too late. We know that most of your human powers or manpowers that you people are having there comes from us. But lo and behold, when the motherland calls for the children, they will all come back home. Do you understand? They will definitely leave the United States and go back home to build their own homes. Look at the spate or the amount of police brutality going on. No one is doing a shit about it. So you can sit down there and say you want to give African countries. And you know the most irritating part of this thing? Whenever they talk about Africa, whosoever that is presiding or the Senate president or whatsoever there, they usually stay like this. The other one stayed like this. Oh, Africa, those useless people. Oh, Africa. This one now is like this. You will see him again. Once he comes up, I'll just clip it right there. This is the most irritating thing ever. But when we pick out points like this, you will see an African man will come out and say, oh, it doesn't mean a thing. All right, stop there. You can see, he's like this. Oh, Africans again. What are we going to do to these crazy people? You see, these are the little things that we spot and we complain about it. Those are the little things that we spot. Once we spot it, we complain about it immediately. Immediately. But in all, will our people ever listen? Will they ever listen? The answer is no. Next you hear them say, it doesn't matter. He can stay anyhow he wants to stay. It is disrespectful talking about a people and you are presiding over the issue. Then you are like this, or you are like this, or you are even like this. It is disrespectful. These are the little foxes that spoils the vineyard. But our people are not that technically inclined to notice these little things. It's like you are talking to Ancient Idu now. Ancient Idu is seated, and you are standing in front of me, talking. I won't listen to you because it is an insult. When I'm seated, you are standing talking to me. It's either I stand or you sit with me, and then we talk. Because I'm seated and you are standing, it's like you are lording yourself over me. You are giving me instructions, which is not proper. It's not proper. But our people don't know these things. These are basic things that you should know. But they fail to know it. So how do you expect the world to regard or respect them? Now, you know, the next one that is going to come up on your screen is a guy that led the coup. The unknown guy that led the coup in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. And you know, there's a funny thing that is going on today. I saw a video that happened that was shot 2 days ago about Qatar responding and mocking Traore that you orchestrated a coup in my country, but you are a small boy. You are a small boy. Your coup failed, but we are going to show you who we are. Then, I pondered within myself and said, this nasty game of deception is still ongoing. That video happened 2-3 days ago. Because of the backlog of works that we have to do, we've not been able, but today we had to pull it up that we must talk about it today. So these people, they've not given up on this game of deception. This game of deception, they keep lying. They keep repackaging stories to give out, to dish out. And if we look carefully into this, we'll see a lot of mercenaries that are working on this aspect now. They are making different. I've tried from the day one of the coup today to see if I could see a video of the Ivorian president on a live program debunking the coup, but there is nothing like that. But instead, yesterday, this guy that championed the coup, here he is on your screen, he came out to give analysis of their struggle and how they were able to achieve what they achieved. Yet, mainstream media remains silent. Radio silent, graveyard silent. That is what they are displaying up to this moment. No one is saying anything about it. All they could do is arrange people from the social media side to start bringing up a different story. After days of the coup, only 2 days ago, the rumor came up. Oh, the president said something. If a president will say something to debunk a coup, it should have been on live television. We never saw that. But listen to this. We are going to play the next one. Just listen to this first. Then you will have an understanding where we are coming from.
Our struggle will succeed because we believe in God. If God is truly real, I don't believe that we will fail. Because when I made that commitment before God, as I was telling you, within 4 hours, I said, God, what I'm about to do, if I am truly not in the truth, do not give me the means. If what I want to launch as a military operation is going to create a situation where there will be a lot of suffering, where we are not on the side of truth, do not give me the means. Because at the time I was asking, I didn't have the means, I didn't have any weapons, I didn't have any money. But God, if what we are going to do is meant to bring justice, peace and equality among Ivorians, give me the means. And God gave me the means. It wasn't even it wasn't even a friend who gave me the means. That's how I got involved. That's why I said I have no regrets. If it hadn't been God's path, I wouldn't have received the means. So, dear parents, dear brothers, dear friends, I wanted to reassure you of one thing, that many things happened in the CNO zone. There were killings, theft, looting, so many things that tarnished the name of the rebellion before my arrest. But know one thing, and I always say this to my younger brothers, when you commit to something, do it with sincerity. Since the rebellion strayed from its original path, that is, the path of protecting the people, it has stopped making progress. It came to a halt, it no longer advanced, and it only created more victims. We are withdrawn. And then we said to ourselves, well, we stopped doing anything since there were elections, so that people wouldn't say it was IB who was against the elections, that it was IB who didn't want peace. I said, say radio silent. Let's prepare ourselves, because we're not God, we're not invincible. But when you know the truth, when you know the reality on the ground, we were convinced of one thing, that these elections would end in armed conflict. So let's prepare accordingly. And we prepared ourselves. They went ahead with the elections. What was the result? Here we are. And they couldn't find any other solution but to take up arms to attack Abobo and Anyama. And thank God, despite the limited resources we had, with your blessings, we were able to hold out in the resistance. We fought as best we could. We resisted gradually, slowly, and we managed to arm ourselves from them, from our opponents. Because it's true, we were arming ourselves. When they fell into our ambushes, it allowed us to get a few weapons. And that is the will of God. Without God, you cannot achieve what we have achieved. We don't need to beat our chest. That's not true. It's not because we are strong. It's not because we are miraculous, but it's God who made everything happen. We are only simple actors. We are servants of the people and servants of God. That's all. And that is our mission. We destabilize the command of the fancy general staff through our resistance. That's the reality. They tried everything. They sent the Secos, they sent the BAE, they sent the Armored Battalion, they sent the BASA, they sent the entire coalition. All the commanders we know, we went to school together, we went through military training together, we know them. They sent everything that was considered Ivorian forces. They couldn't stand up to your children. Thanks to your blessings, thanks to God. But I think that's what we need to acknowledge, instead of telling things that aren't true. But despite that, some people sat down to disparage this great work to say, no, they're nothing, they did nothing. But that's not the problem. But God knows what happened. It's the truth here today. We launched the offensive to free some of our brothers who are at Maka. And from there, we launched the operation on Yopougon the same day, within 24 hours. We cleared out most of Yopougon. Only Yangon was left, but it's not easy. Yopougon is huge, with OTO, the militiamen. But we did it. Every battle is fought with strategy. You don't just get up with weapons and say, just because you have weapons, that you can throw yourself into the field. That's not how fighting works. It takes study, thought, careful planning, and then you launch operations with everyone's orders, with each command. We knew that the BAE was the strongest of the militias. So, to destabilize the militias, we had to bring down the BAE. It's tactical. You can't just make it up. You can't just pick that up at the market. That takes Chadi. And for 4 hours, under the command of my deputy, the BAE fell with all their weapons. And we took the command camp in Yopougon, everything, and we secured Ndokwa. And to our great surprise, around 7 p.m., we hear that a convoy is coming down the highway. No one tells us anything. No one calls me. They tell me, IB, your brothers are coming or so much. Nothing. Because they have heavy weapons. They were armed by other people. They are coming. The elements told me no, but they called Gubue. Gubue called me and said, what should we do? We can't just let them come in. I said, no. Don't give people a reason to say that you are responsible for a blunder. I said, let them come in. I said, I don't think they are coming against us. Because they are not our enemies. If they are coming, maybe they have a mission, but I don't think they are coming against us. Let them come in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get in. If the Ivorian army with all its tanks couldn't get in here, it's not them who are going to get in that way. Honestly. Isn't that the truth? We let them in. They came in with great fanfare, with dozens of Fox 4s mounted with heavy weapons. They headed straight for the Agban camp. They rushed toward the television station. They shelled for hours, all night long. And in the morning, they were exhausted, and they hadn't hit a single target. People let them shell tactically, and then they launched a counter-attack against them. It was a rout. They didn't even know Abidjan. Some of them came from the villages. They were dressed up and sent here, and they are lost. We load them up onto the highway. They turned back again. We were forced to go on to the commander, to the town hall. There were so many wounded. The hospital was full of injured and dead people. Is it normal to take other people's children and send them to the slaughterhouse? When you arrive in a village, there's a village chief there. At the very least, go and greet him and then say, well, we've arrived. What can we do together? That's the least you can do. But no. These all-powerful men want to crush us, but they forget that God is behind us and that you are behind us. Basically, I told my men to pull back. We took the Yopougon side, specifically the area known as Ndokwa, as well as the industrial zone, which is nearby, an important area. We secured that area, as well as our usual areas, our base here, and we went on standby. We started preparing our troops because we knew that what was coming next wouldn't be easy. We rested while preparing our men psychologically, and we left them the field as they came to liberate Abidjan. We left them the field. But where are we today? Thousands of deaths. I can't go on. These are facts. These are facts. They are relatives. We didn't stop anyone. We didn't drive anyone out of the television station. They didn't take the television station. They told everyone that they took the television station. But the truth always comes out in the end. They didn't take Agban. They said they shelled it. They took Agban. Is Agban still there? Gbagbo is still at home and he can speak. He keeps on saying whatever he wants. I swear to you, if our brothers had consulted us, or if our brothers had given us 48 hours, they are relatives, I'm telling you, 48 hours. The operation we launched in Yopougon was tactical. 48 hours, I swear to you, Gbagbo would no longer be in power today. Our struggle will succeed. Our struggle will succeed because we believe in God. If God is truly real, if God is truly real, I don't believe that we will fail. Because when I made that commitment before God, as I was telling you, within 4 wars, I said, God, what I'm about to do, if I am truly not in the truth, do not give me the means. If what I want to launch as a military operation is going to create a...
Now, let's stop it there. This video is all over the internet. You can go and look for it. You can go and look for it and have a view of it. So it is clear that something went down in Côte d'Ivoire, and the West is radio silent about this because it is a disaster to them. It did not go in their favor. This video came out before the American Senate sat to discuss that rubbish. They are now thinking of how to give African nations what they want, what they deserve, not what America thinks we must accept. It is because of this particular video. They are doing what is called damage control now. They are looking for a way to soften it. So it won't look like a massive failure. But their Senate have already confirmed that they have failed in Africa. So they are trying to look for a way, instead of the crazy Americans to look for how to meet us halfway. The only thing they can threaten, number one, according to Trump, is sanction and military action. We are not living in a barracks. And the best thing that we deserve now, we don't want democracy. Democracy has to go, and their religion has to go along with it. Okay? We have been an Asian people from way back to today, and we cannot adapt into other people's useless ideology. The ideology of the West is what you see playing out in Nigeria in 4K, where military will flog you for no good reason, and if you resist them flogging you, they shoot you down immediately and kill you. It's the order of the day in Nigeria, where you will talk about a preacher that is lying or that has raped someone. The next thing, the preacher will call the same police or army. They will come and pick you up and lock you. They lock you in Nigeria with no trial, for no reason. They just lock you up. And people will say anything. By the time people want to start saying something, a few people amongst them will go and get money. Then they will go on the other side and make counter pronunciation, counter video, counter evidences against you. You that is going through pain. They will make that against you to rubbish you and your suffering. That's what Nigeria is known for. And such a system is known as the vampire system. And every vampire system must fall. That is the simple truth. Every vampire system must fall. The one that is going to come up on your screen now The guy that did this video had to make it this way. It is the Ivorian president. The only video of him that has come out, because the soldiers, they held him down and they said that the West made him popular. He has to denounce the West also through the same media with which they made him popular. Huh? So this is the only video of him that is out officially. The rest are just something made by content makers, of which we presume they must be Nigerian content makers, led by Rino Omokiri and Deji Adeonju. These are the ball gates or the channels that they will use to disseminate funds that will make people come out to lie online. So this is the only video that we have seen so far. You will hear him say he resigns. He resigns. We are still looking for the video, a live video of the Ivorian former president, Ouattara, or Lansana Ouattara. We are looking for a live video of him where he will come out to make a speech. Until that happens, for now, we will remain with the fact that he has been ousted via a military coup, a neat surgical operation that took place that has got the world stunned in serious shock up to this moment. Even as the West debunk it, but none of their media outlets has shown this man making any speech or entertaining any interview. So let it play so that you all hear what he has to say.
Attach particular importance to honoring my commitments. In the same
Hold on, you know it's French, so it has to be translated.
spirit I had on several occasions stated at the time of the adoption of the Constitution of the Third Republic in 2016 that I did not wish to run for another presidential term. Consequently, I would like to solemnly announce to you that I have decided not to be a candidate in the presidential election.
It was just after 6 p.m. when every screen in Côte d'Ivoire went dark. No music, no signal, just silence. Then suddenly, the feed returned. Grainy, unsteady, live. There, sitting alone at the desk of the national broadcaster RTI, was a man who had ruled for 14 years. No flag behind him, no generals at his side, just a worn-out face and a shaking voice. Alassane Ouattara. He adjusted his collar, looked straight into the lens, then spoke, without emotion. To the people of Côte d'Ivoire, I address you not as your president, but as a citizen of this nation. The air across the country froze. In markets, people stopped mid-transaction. In barracks, soldiers turned up the volume. In homes, families clutched hands. For the sake of national unity and to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, I have taken the decision to resign, effective immediately. No applause, no orchestra, just 5 seconds of silence. Then the sound of a chair scraping the floor as he stood up and walked off screen. Just like that, it was over. The regime that survived protests, elections, rebellions, and international scandals collapsed under the weight of one voice. And not his, because everyone knew it wasn't just pressure. It was a warning, delivered days earlier, from a commander who had never stepped into politics, until now. And somewhere in Ouagadougou, far from the cameras, Captain Ibrahim Traoré received a short message from his aide. He did it. It's done. Traoré said nothing. He just closed his notebook and whispered, "The people moved." And that was all it took. The resignation was public, but the rebellion that caused it, that was born in the shadows, behind the walls of military compounds across Côte d'Ivoire. In Bouaké, the grumbling started quietly. A captain's pay was delayed for the 3rd month in a row. A young soldier was discharged for refusing to fire during a peaceful protest, his only crime, saying, "My rifle is not for shooting Ivorians." In Kohogo, an elite unit returned from a mission to find that their families had gone days without water or food rations. Meanwhile, armored cars were being fueled daily, not for defense, but for presidential convoys. The hypocrisy was no longer invisible. It was everywhere, in the mess halls, in the barracks, in the silence that grew heavier each day. But it wasn't anger that spread. It was doubt. Doubt in orders. Doubt in the man at the top. Doubt in whether they were still protecting a republic or just extending the life of a regime. And in that doubt, a new kind of discipline took root. Meetings stopped happening on the record. Briefings became shorter. When orders came from Abidjan, some units simply didn't respond. Others responded late. One platoon answered a direct command with just 2 words: "We're listening." But they weren't listening to Ouattara anymore. In whispered conversations, one name kept surfacing: Commander Kone, not a politician, not a warlord. A mid-ranking officer who had never posted a selfie or chased headlines, but he had something rare: respect. Men trusted him, not because he promised power, but because he didn't fear truth. He never raised his voice. He never called for a coup. He just asked one question over and over: if we stood down today, would the people stand up tomorrow? And in mess halls and dormitories, across every region of the country, the answer began to take shape. A revolution was forming. Not from activists, not from militias, but from the very people trained to protect the regime. They weren't preparing for war, they were preparing to stop lying. It wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't even a direct statement, but to those who understood power, it was a warning wrapped in wisdom. 3 days before Ouattara's resignation, a regional security summit was held in Ouagadougou. Cameras were invited, flags from the Sahel Alliance stood tall, and at the center, wearing his red beret, calm as ever, sat Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He spoke last. The room was quiet. The world watched. Africa is tired of speeches. Africa is tired of puppets. We will no longer kneel before the ghosts of empire. The applause was polite, but it was what he said next, off script, that made the room stop breathing. If leadership forgets the people will remember their strength. And when that strength rises, it doesn't need permission. He never mentioned Ouattara. He didn't have to. In Abidjan, the message was received. Ouattara's intelligence briefed him that the Burkinabe president's words were causing agitation among junior officers. He dismissed it with a wave. Traoré is young, let him talk. But he underestimated something far more powerful than age: credibility. Because in the barracks across Côte d'Ivoire, Traoré wasn't just another head of state. He was the symbol of what soldiers could be: honest, unbought, unshaken. His words played on phones in military kitchens. They were copied onto walls in chalk. One lieutenant wrote it on a sheet of paper and taped it inside his locker. The people will remember their strength. And then, something strange happened. At least 4 military bases across Côte d'Ivoire reported that their soldiers had stopped responding to certain internal radio frequencies. But they weren't ignoring everything. They were tuned in to one new private channel, encrypted, foreign, and untraceable. Later, analysts would confirm it originated from a scrambled relay bouncing through Ouagadougou. Whatever Traoré was doing, it wasn't just diplomacy, it was inspiration. And inspiration in the hands of the betrayed is fuel for revolt. While the world watched Traoré speak from Ouagadougou, another man, quiet, unknown, uninvited, was making history of his own. Commander Amadou Kone. Not a politician, not a rebel, just a mid-ranking officer stationed in Abidjan, once loyal to the presidency, now loyal to something deeper: the people. He had no social media, no medals beyond what he'd earned in real combat. But in the mess halls and courtyards of military bases, his name began to spread, not like a shout, but like a secret. Who was he? A son of a cocoa farmer, trained in France but disillusioned. He had seen too much: ministers stealing aid, generals selling weapons, and soldiers being ordered to silence protests with tear gas they could barely afford to load. Kone never raised his fist. He never gave fiery speeches. He just listened. And then he acted. Quietly, he began visiting regional commanders, one by one, at first just to check in, then to ask a simple question. If the Constitution no longer matters to them, why should our uniforms protect theirs? No threats, no talk of coups, just truth and the unbearable weight of it. The turning point. In late April, Kone called a closed meeting of officers at an undisclosed garrison outside Yamoussoukro. Inside a dimly lit hall, without cameras, he spoke for the first time to more than a dozen ranking commanders. We have served a man who abandoned his people. We have followed orders that betrayed our flag. Today, I ask not for rebellion. I ask for responsibility. Silence. Then, one by one, heads nodded. No announcement was made. No memo distributed. But from that day on, orders from the presidency began to fail. Convoys delayed, communications dropped, and guards who once stood firm at the palace began rotating out and not returning. A shift was happening, not in public view, but beneath the boots that once held the regime up, and at the center of that shift stood Commander Kone. When news of the unfolding tension in Côte d'Ivoire reached Paris, panic didn't break out immediately. It arrived in waves. At first, advisors in the Élysée Palace called it contained unrest. Then, when reports showed loyalist generals not answering calls, it became potential instability. But when they heard that Commander Kone had begun visiting bases without clearance from the presidency, they knew this wasn't instability, it was collapse in slow motion, the call that was never answered. President Emmanuel Macron made a direct attempt to intervene. He picked up the red line, the direct military liaison channel, and tried to reach General Bakari, Ouattara's highest-ranking officer still believed to be loyal. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. A third attempt was rerouted to voicemail. The tone was clinical, cold. "This contact is unavailable. Please leave your message." Macron slammed the receiver. "Get me Ouattara." Within minutes, he was on the line with a man who sounded less like a president and more like a cornered CEO. "Everything is under control," Ouattara insisted. "Just a few misinformed units. We will handle it internally." But Macron wasn't convinced. He knew the signs. He'd seen them before, in Burkina, Mali, Niger. This wasn't just an officer acting out. This was a system beginning to bleed from the inside. The France-Afrique firewall was failing. For decades, France had relied on a simple equation in West Africa: keep the president happy, control the economy, manage the military. But now, the middle link, the army, was breaking. And if the army couldn't be controlled, France had no leverage. One French military attaché stationed in Abidjan reportedly told his colleagues, "We don't have allies here anymore, only names we paid to obey." Inside the French Foreign Ministry, someone whispered a line that would never be.
I hope you all heard that. He said, from the French military base in Abidjan, one of the French soldiers said that they don't have allies in Abidjan anymore, in Côte d'Ivoire. Just a few men that France is paying to help maintain the system and keep the people subject to them. You can see how deadly or how bad these imperialists are, even to the production of farm produce such as cocoa, for making of chocolates. France is ready to go to war. Their former Minister of Economics is making a rallying point now, an SOS call on all European nations, how to sabotage Africa and engage them in war so that they will conquer the land and remain in charge. But I really pray for them to go as crazy as that and carry out their plans. Then it will be the shock of the century, of the new millennium. You know why China is behaving the way they are behaving today? China is looking for a way to pay back the 100 years or more than 100 years of humiliation that they went through in the hands of European powers. That's what China is looking for, a way to equate or equalize. But the one of Africa, we have been subjugated and downtrodden for thousands of years. It will be an awesome thing for Europe to take this step. America is looking for a way now to readjust their foreign policy with Africa. But it's too late. It's too late. How many times have the American police shot dead Africans? They shoot them dead at close range in America. And whenever they shoot down a black man, they get promoted, they get honored. Will America be able to pay us back for that? Will they be able to pay us back for the slave trade and the labor that we labored to build up that country as slaves? Or perhaps as the ones they came and met us there, because they came and they conquered us. You know, we own that land. The black Indians also was part of us. We all own the land. But when they conquered us, they did the usual thing, cleansing. Cleansing in the sense of committing genocide, wiping away a sizable proportion of the original inhabitants of that land. Wherever they go, they do it. They leave their traits there. Blood, tears, and sorrows. They did it in Australia to the Aborigines. They cleansed the entire land. So now, after that, they started importing from the motherland those of us that weren't there to replace us there. So now they are thinking, oh, it seems these people are now humans a little. Let us reconsider them. You are not reconsidering us. You are not reconsidering us. It's an apology that came in a little bit too late. Some time ago, the Pope apologized to the Aborigines of Canada for the way they treated Canadians and tried to force their religion on the people of Canada. Did the Pope apologize to the Africans? Did they apologize to the Idu people? Never. They buried it and they said we don't have history. But they can apologize to Canada. But to us, we need a savior known as Jesus, known as Mohammed. That is what we need. We don't need a good life. We don't need to be counted as the seeds of mankind. We only need Mohammed and Jesus to deliver us to a kingdom that is in the cloud. Why we are hoping to go to that cloud computing, where there is mansion in gigabyte or terabytes for us. They are occupying our land and taking our resources. Why do they want to die in Burkina Faso? It's not just the gold, but it's the crude oil that they discovered there, 50 billion barrels that Russia discovered. That is why they want to go to war. Donald Trump have heard, oh, they discovered oil there. Wow, one of the finest oil in the world. They are preparing. They need to go to war. So when they conquer the land, they start taking the resources. Then we have our pastors, idiots. I don't know where they come from. Like Ubat Angel, saying that God told him that Saudi Arabia wanted to build 3,000 mosques. 3,000. You see, they will go with their religion. Let's stop this one here. The message we needed to pass there has gone. And I don't know if I should just squeeze in this one because I'm about winding down. Let's see how many minutes would this one be. This is about 34 minutes. It's about Traore responding to Obama. So we'll leave it like this. The response of Traore to Obama. When we come back here tomorrow, we'll continue with the program from this point. Traore has dealt with the issue and the aspect of Michelle Obama. Now he's dealing with Obama himself, the serpent. Huh? When they need to make you look weak, they bring the one that looks like you, the same color and everything. But they have forgotten that simply because you have a dark skin doesn't mean you come from the motherland. Some of them are reptiles. They don't come from us. Obama and Michelle Obama, they are part of the reptiles. And we don't have an apology. Langley is another reptile. Take a good look at the face of Langley, and you'll see the face of a dinosaur. Even in the face of Obama, and even Michelle Obama, you see the face of a reptile, a dinosaur. Huh? But they have failed. It's either they accept the facts that we must be counted as the seeds of mankind, and the greatest race on earth is the human race. There's nothing like white race, black race, green race, purple supremacy or pink supremacy, aka white supremacy. There's nothing like that. So they should forget about it. These generations, we are not like those of our predecessors that came before us in the name of our ancestors or our forefathers. We are not like that. We are something else. Some of us are the resurrected ancestors. It will only take them to come and do this cleanup. And the ancestors are at work. Everything that the West holds dear and important to them has crumbled. That is why a movement like this can stand firm and tall. The more they run around and complain, the more African nations are breaking free from the spell. We have to break free from the spell, people. Share this broadcast. Share it. Maybe the next title for the next broadcast will be Breaking from the Spell. That would be the title. And we hope we do remember that. So you can subscribe to this channel. Alright? Alright. We see you all in the next one. So from here, from us in this studio, we'll say bye-bye.
Male wa mono,